It's been a little while since I've been on YouTube. Real life, work, family, everything was getting in the way for a little bit, but we've got it mostly sorted out now. So hopefully I'll be back to doing videos on a regular basis. Now that we're back, we're going to try a slight change in the format. Instead of doing one encounter every single day for the mega dungeon, we'll do one area in a video. This area can be used within the mega dungeon or ported to any other adventure that you are currently running of the appropriate level. Today we're going to start our new format with an area of the dungeon that has dynamically shifting walls and hazards that is entirely populated by minotaurs. So let's take a look at what their area looks like. First, the party enters a small room with no visible exits. As they search around, they suddenly hear stone grinding on stone and walls slide, opening up passageways to exit the room. At the same time, the door slams shut behind the party, trapping them in the shifting halls. When the players come around the corner, they see three minotaurs waiting, ready to fight them. At the end of the first round, the walls shift again, revealing two minotaur berserkers. The berserkers are the same as the regular minotaurs, except that they get a multi-attack to use both their great axe and a gore. Once the walls shift, it can change the landscape of the battle, opening up players in the back to attack and closing off players that were up at the front of the melee. After each round past the first, roll a d6, and the walls shift back on a result of 4, 5, or 6, further altering the battlefield. Looting the minotaurs after the battle will reward the players with 200 gold pieces and 2 potions of healing. Next, the party can move down the hall into a large room with a single gigantic minotaur champion in the room. There are broken pillars and other debris throughout the room that the party can hide behind, but every round on initiative count 0, the obstacles move 5 feet in a random direction. Roll a d8 to determine the direction it moves. 1 is north, 2 is northeast, 3 is east, and so on. If this causes an object to hit someone, then they are pushed 5 feet and take 2d6 damage and must make a DC 15 dex check or be knocked prone. The terrain never moves into the Minotaur champion's space, but the Minotaur champion can use the moving terrain to his advantage to protect his flank. The Minotaur champion will position itself to take advantage of its thunderous cleave ability to hit multiple enemies on its turn. He will also tend towards using his roar as a legendary action in order to keep as many players out of combat as possible. Notice that the saving throw doesn't make you immune to further uses of the roar, and if the champion feels it would be beneficial, he will use it to limit the number of opponents. On the Minotaur champion is a key that unlocks the door to venture further into the dungeon. The next room is a series of islands floating above a cloudy abyss. Players cannot see through the fog below, but there is a walkway leading to the first island. As the players approach the walkway, they hear a disembodied voice say,
"The right way across is to go straight up to the center, or you will be left with nothing."
This is a riddle that uses the words right, center, and left to tell the players to go to the right platform in the first row, then the center platform in the second row, and the left platform in the third row. If the players don't figure this out, there are consequences on each of the incorrect positions. On the cave wall by the entrance is a wheel that when turned will move the walkway to one of the other islands on the first row. Stepping on the center island in the first row will hit the player there with a burst of fire for 3d10 damage. Stepping on the left island in the first row will hit the player with a burst of cold for 3d10 damage. Stepping on the right island in the first row will cause another wheel to rise out of the ground and a platform to materialize to the next island. On the next row of islands, it is only safe to step on the center one. The rightmost island will vanish, dropping the player 30 feet through the fog onto spikes and cause 3d6 falling damage and 3d6 piercing damage. The player will need to climb back up to escape. The leftmost island causes a gust of wind to run through the chamber. Each player must make a strength check, DC 14, or be pushed off whatever platform they are on, taking 3d6 falling damage and 3d6 piercing damage. The center island will again materialize a path and a wheel when it is stepped on. The final row, it is only safe on the leftmost island. The center island will materialize a ghost to attack the party member on that location, and the right island will spray acid from the ceiling onto the entire room for 2d12 acid damage. DC 15 Constitution saving throw to take only half damage. Finally, a door will open and a path will materialize to it if a party member steps on the leftmost island. The next chamber has several cells with captured children inside. Standing in front of the cells are a couple of minotaurs, and at the back of the room are 2 minotaur mages. The minotaurs will set up a position to block the walkway back to the mages, while the minotaur casters in the back prepare by casting mirror image. The casters will then use chill touch or darkness to damage or impede the party, and shield and thunder wave if the party gets past the first 2 minotaurs. The children in the cages are of no use to the party, and they can be taken back to the entrance to wait for the party to exit. The final room is the king's throne room. As the party enters the chamber, the king roars in acknowledgement of their arrival. He stands up from his throne, and a dozen portals appear around the room. The Minotaur king can step into an adjacent portal without provoking an opportunity attack and step out of any other portal. Any player that steps into a portal comes out of a random portal. When the Minotaur king uses his Call to Chaos ability to summon spectral echoes, pick any spectral undead that is appropriate for the level of your players. If the king dies, the spectral echo disappears. If a player uses area of effect spells that include any of the portals in the area, then the effect will spill out of all the other portals, hitting anyone in those spaces with the exception of the king. His control of the portals allows him to exclude any portal that he doesn't want the effect to come through. When the king dies, the portals close and the shifting of the Minotaur lair stops. This area of the dungeon can be played in any adventure simply by having an entrance to the Minotaur's lair somewhere in your campaign world. It is appropriate for a party of about 10th level, and links to each of the custom monsters will be in the description below. Until next time, keep on hacking the dungeon.